Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to be exploring how one AI breaks down the concept of success.
And it's a pretty interesting framework.
Yeah, I was reading through the material and it really caught my eye.
Well, the AI basically says there are four key components to success, and they're all, get this, interconnected.
Okay, hold on. Interconnected how? Like if you change one, the others change too.
Exactly. Think of it kind of like an equalizer. Like if you adjust one knob on a soundboard, it changes the whole sound.
Okay, yeah, that's a good analogy. So what are these four components that make up this success equalizer?
All right, so we've got satisfaction, perseverance, dedication, and understanding. At first glance, it seems kind of like, well, yeah, obviously those are important.
Like, duh, those are in every self-help book ever written.
Right. But the interesting thing is how they all work together, and that's what we're going to be deep diving into today.
Okay, I'm already hooked. Let's start with satisfaction. Like, what does that even mean in this context? Well, it's all about that genuine excitement and drive that propels you towards a goal. Like, it's the fuel in your tank.
Okay, so without satisfaction, you're not even going to get started, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, why even bother putting in the effort if you're not feeling it, deep down?
That makes total sense. Can you give me like a real world example?
Sure. Let's say you're learning to play guitar. That initial excitement of, strumming a few chords, maybe learning a simple song, that's your satisfaction kicking in. And that's what makes you want to keep practicing and get better.
Okay, so we've got the fuel, the motivation, but learning an instrument is tough. How do we keep going when it gets challenging? When you hit those roadblocks and just want to give up.
And that is where perseverance comes in. It's that grit and determination that keeps you going, even when you want to chuck that guitar across the room.
Oh, tell me about it. I think we've all been there.
Right. It's the thing that separates those who achieve their goals from those who just give up when things get tough.
So we've got the fuel and the engine. What about like the fine tuning? That precision and attention to detail that you need to really master something.
That's where dedication comes in. It's about showing up consistently, putting in the work, and striving to produce really high-quality work, not just going through the motions.
So in our guitar example, dedication is what pushes you to really nail those notes, those chord changes, like striving for perfection.
Exactly. It's all about really honing your craft.
Okay, this is all making sense, but I feel like there's one piece missing, the knowledge, right? Like the strategy behind it all.
Bingo. That's where understanding comes into play. It's the knowledge, the skills, the insights that let you approach your goal strategically instead of just, winging it.
So instead of just mindlessly practicing guitar scales, understanding is what helps you learn theory, right? And different playing styles and all those intricacies.
You got it. It's about moving beyond just doing the work to understanding the why behind it.
This is really fascinating stuff. I'm starting to see how these four pieces fit together, but I'm still a bit fuzzy on this whole equalizer concept. Can you give me an example of how adjusting one of these components might actually impact the others?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's stick with our guitar example. So you're feeling super motivated, right?
Yeah.
That initial satisfaction is high. But then as you start to learn more complex techniques, you hit a wall. Like maybe you're struggling with a bar chord or some tricky finger picking pattern.
Ooh, yeah. Been there. It's so frustrating when you just can't seem to get something.
Exactly. But this is where perseverance comes in, right? You keep practicing. You push through that frustration.
Yeah.
And what happens?
Well, I'm guessing with enough practice, you start to understand the technique better.
Exactly. Your understanding increases. But here's the thing. You might find that your initial excitement, that burst of satisfaction you felt at the beginning, it actually decreases a little.
Wait, really? Why would that happen?
Well, it's not that you're enjoying playing less. It's more that you're moving from that, honeymoon phase to the more serious, dedicated work of mastering a skill. But here's the thing.
You start to experience a deeper sense of satisfaction from, like, actually being able to play the music you want to play.
Exactly. It's a different kind of satisfaction. It's that feeling of accomplishment, that mastery.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fueled by the understanding you gained through all that perseverance.
Wow, that's so interesting. So it's not about keeping all four components at the same level all the time, is it?
Right. It's about being aware how they interact and how adjusting one can impact the others.
This is really making me think about all the different areas of my life, but
Yeah.
I have a feeling we've only just scratched the surface, right?
Oh, yeah. We've got a lot more to explore. After the break, we'll delve into some more examples of how this equalizer works in different scenarios.
All right, so you're saying that sometimes one of these components might be the key to kind of unlocking the others.
Exactly. It's all about finding the right balance for that specific situation.
Can you give me an example?
Okay, let's say you're working on a huge project at work and you're just feeling totally overwhelmed. Like, where do I even begin?
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling. It can be super demotivating.
Right. And that often comes from a lack of understanding. You don't know where to start, so the whole thing just feels way too daunting.
So in that scenario, understanding is like the key to unlocking everything else.
It can be.
Yeah.
Think about it. When you really take the time to understand a project, break it down into smaller steps, figure out what resources you need, suddenly it feels a lot less scary,
Oh,
right?
for sure. It's like that aha moment when you're like, okay, I can actually do this.
Exactly. And when that happens, your satisfaction goes up because the task doesn't feel like a burden anymore. It feels like a challenge you're actually excited to tackle.
And then that boost in satisfaction can then fuel your perseverance and dedication.
Exactly. It's like this chain reaction. You feel confident in your ability to do something, so you're more likely to stick with it and, put in the effort.
This is making me think about all those times I've procrastinated on projects because I just didn't really understand what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us. But the good news is, it's something you can work on.
So any tips for like how to actually boost our understanding?
Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask your boss, your colleagues, whoever, to clarify what's expected. Do some research, figure out the best way to approach the project. It's like you're building a foundation of knowledge before you even start building the actual thing.
Love that analogy. And the stronger the foundation, the better the final product, right?
Exactly. So by focusing on that, understanding, you're setting yourself up for way more success and satisfaction in the long run.
Okay, so we've seen how understanding can impact satisfaction and perseverance. What about dedication? Like, what happens when you're working on something for a long time and just starting to feel burned out?
Yeah, burnout is real.
Yeah.
And in those situations, just trying to push through it might not be the best approach.
So what can you do?
Sometimes you need to reconnect with your why. Remember what got you excited about this project in the first place. What were you hoping to achieve?
It's like reminding yourself of the bigger picture.
Exactly. And when you do that, it can reignite your passion and boost your satisfaction. And that can then fuel your dedication to actually see the project through to the end.
So instead of just focusing on all those little tasks, you got to zoom out and remember why you're doing it in the first place.
Precisely. Sometimes taking a step back and just reflecting on your motivations can be the most productive thing you do.
This is also fascinating. It really shows how these four components are always interacting and impacting each other.
And that's what's so cool about this framework. It's not about finding some perfect balance. It's about understanding how to adjust your approach depending on what's going on.
So it's like you're your own success DJ, constantly tweaking those knobs on the equalizer.
Exactly. It's all about developing that self-awareness and learning how to adjust your own internal settings for success.
This has been super insightful. I'm curious to see how these concepts apply in like a completely different area, like personal growth and development.
Let's jump into that next. I think you'll find it really interesting.
All right, so personal growth. Let's talk about how this success equalizer can apply in that area.
Yeah, think of it like this. Any personal goal, like learning a new language, eating healthier, whatever it is, it's going to have those ups and downs in terms of motivation.
Oh, totally.
Yeah,
It's easy to get discouraged when you hit a roadblock.
right. And that's exactly where these four components come in. They can help you, stay on track and actually reach those goals.
Okay, can you give me an example? Like a specific goal?
Sure. Let's say you're trying to build a regular meditation practice.
Oh, I've been meaning to try that.
Yeah, it's great. So, that initial interest you feel, that curiosity about meditation, maybe you've heard it, can help reduce stress or whatever. That's your satisfaction.
Okay, so it's what gets me to actually like download the app or whatever.
Exactly. But then, life gets in the way, right?
Yeah,
You get
yeah.
busy, you forget, and suddenly it's been a week since you meditated.
Oh, yeah, that sounds familiar.
Right. And that's where perseverance comes in. It's that commitment to sticking with it, even when you don't feel like it, to just show up on your meditation cushion every day.
But sometimes just showing up isn't enough, right? I feel like there's a difference between like going through the motions and really getting something out of it.
You're absolutely right. And that's where dedication comes into play. It's about being fully present during your meditation practice, paying attention to your breath, noticing your thoughts without judgment, really engaging with the practice instead of just letting your mind wander.
So it's not just about how much time you spend meditating, but also how much you're actually focusing during that time.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, when you practice with that kind of dedication, you're more likely to actually start experiencing the benefits of meditation. Maybe you feel less stressed or more focused.
And that, in turn, can boost your satisfaction and make you even more likely to stick with it, right?
It's a positive feedback loop.
Hmm.
But there's another piece to this puzzle that can really amplify the benefits of meditation, and that's understanding.
You mean like understanding how meditation works?
Yeah, maybe you read about the science behind it or you learn about different meditation techniques. That deeper understanding can really take your practice to the next level.
So it's like the more you understand something, the more effective your efforts become.
Exactly. It's like having a map instead of just wandering around aimlessly.
Yeah.
That understanding gives you clarity and purpose.
This is all so helpful, but I'm wondering, can we actually like intentionally adjust these four components? Like, can we use this equalizer concept to kind of take control of our personal growth?
Absolutely. It all starts with becoming aware of your own, internal settings. Like if you're feeling stuck, ask yourself, how's my satisfaction level with this goal? If it's low, maybe you need to reassess things. Are your goals still aligned with what you want? Do you need to switch things up?
So it's like regularly checking in with yourself and making sure you're still on the right path.
Right. And if you're struggling with perseverance, try breaking down that big, overwhelming goal into smaller, more manageable steps. That can give you that sense of momentum, and it feels really good to check those little wins off your list.
What about dedication? Any tips for staying focused when there are so many distractions?
It might mean creating some boundaries for yourself, like setting aside specific time for your goal and letting people know you're not to be disturbed. Or maybe you need an accountability partner to help you stay on track. It really depends on what works for you.
And how about understanding? What are some ways to actively cultivate that?
Never stop learning. Read books, take courses, talk to people who are knowledgeable about the things you're interested in. There's so many resources out there.
This whole framework is seriously eye-opening. It makes you realize that we actually have a lot more control over our success and happiness than we might think.
I totally agree. It's not about some magic formula. It's about understanding these four components and how they interact. And once you do that, you can start to consciously adjust your approach and create the life you want.
This has been such an incredible deep dive. Thank you so much for sharing all these insights with us.
My pleasure. I hope everyone listening feels empowered to take control of their own journey, whether it's achieving their goals or just living a more fulfilling life.
That's it for this week's deep dive, folks. We'll see you next time.